Have you ever noticed how some thoughts show up in our mind and we don't even question them? Thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I'll always struggle financially, or I'll never find love. I'm talking about those kind of thoughts. Most people don't realize this, but these unconscious thoughts are quietly running our life. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. Negative, unconscious thoughts. So let's understand this more. Most of what we do each day is unconscious. We brush our teeth, we drive familiar routes, we scroll our phone, all without much thought. But it's not just behaviors that run on autopilot, our thoughts do too. So let's understand this even more. Your mind is constantly generating stories about who you are, what you deserve, and what's possible for you. And the problem isn't that these thoughts exist, is that most people believe them automatically. We don't pause, we don't question them, we just accept them as truth. So what is it that we need to understand? First of all, let's understand the thoughts. And here are some common unconscious negative thoughts. See which one resonates with you. I'm not good enough. I'll never be successful. I'll always struggle with money. I'm unlovable. I'm too much or not enough. Everyone else has it figured out except for me. These thoughts often feel factual, like observations about reality, but they're not facts. They're unconscious beliefs, usually formed in early life, repeated so often that they start to feel so true. And because they're unconscious, we don't challenge them. We don't live. We survive from them. So, how these thoughts control our life? Let's put this into perspective. When you believe these thoughts without questioning them, they start to shape your behavior. You might avoid opportunities. You might settle for someone. You might stop yourself from trying, not because you can't, but because your mind has already decided the outcome. Think about when you drive. Do you get automatically angry? Do you snap at people? Do you already believe that someone is out to gain something from you? Most people think their life is shaped by circumstances, but often it's shaped by our unconscious thoughts. And the worst part is we believe them. We believe them. We accept them. We don't question them. We just believe them. So why don't we question them? You need to understand the mind's job is to protect you. That's its job. It will protect you at all costs. So if a thought once helped you avoid rejection, failure, or disappointment, your brain keeps repeating it, even if it no longer serves you. Over time, that protective thought becomes a rule, and eventually it becomes your identity, not because it's true, but because it's familiar. We don't question unconscious thoughts because they usually sound like common sense. For example, imagine you want to apply for a job. You want to run a business. Maybe you want to post a video or put yourself out there for romance to find someone. And that thought comes up. There's no point. People like me don't deserve success. The thought doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't feel emotional. It feels more logical. You don't argue with it. You just stop and you don't try. So here is the tricky part. Because most people don't try, your mind now interprets this. See, I was right. I was right. That's how unconscious thoughts protect themselves. Not by being true, by being unchallenged. Right there, by being unchallenged. So how do we start taking back control? Because there is something that you can do. The first step isn't to think positive. No, it's awareness. The next time a negative thought pops up, pause and ask, is this a fact or is this just a story my mind is telling me? Write the thought down. Look at it. Really look at it. Ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Challenge it. Not with pressure, but with curiosity. Ask yourself, what's another opportunity? I don't have to accept this. What actions could I take right now? The negative, unconscious thought starts to loosen its grip. So remember, you are not your thoughts. Especially, you are not your unconscious thoughts, especially the negative unconscious thoughts. You are more than that, and you are more than your thoughts. Most of the limits in your life aren't real. They're stories that were never questioned. And the moment you start noticing them, you stop being controlled by them. Remember this, awareness is power and is the beginning of real change. Remember that. So, most people don't realize this, but they're living their life based on thoughts they never questioned. Thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I'll always struggle, I'll never find love. These aren't facts. They're unconscious stories your mind repeats automatically. And the moment you pause and ask, is this really true? You start taking back control. Some of the most limiting beliefs we carry were never chosen by you. They were learned, absorbed, repeated. And then one day they started to sound like your own voice. But you can start to change your own voice. And here's the truth. A thought is not a command. It's not a prophecy. And it's definitely not your identity or your destiny. The moment you notice and question a negative unconscious thought, you step out of autopilot. You create space. And in that space, choices become possible. You don't need to silence your mind. You don't need to fight your thoughts. You just need to stop letting them decide your future. Growth begins the moment you say, this thought may be familiar, but it doesn't get to run my life anymore. And little by little, that's how confidence is built. That's how patterns change. That's how you move from being controlled by your unconscious beliefs. To create a new life does mean thinking differently. To create a life that reflects who you really are. Never lose sight of yourself. Your thoughts may be loud, but your truth is much, much louder. So those negative, unconscious thoughts, screw them. Really, screw them. You're more than that. And you can do better. And you can choose a different way of thinking. You can start telling yourself a different story. And by telling yourself a different story, you start to change the outcome. Your mind starts to look for possibilities, not for, how can I say this? It doesn't look for a little bit here. No, your mind wants to help you. It really wants to help you. Believer can. And by changing your story, you start to change the outcome. You start to believe in other things, better things that can help you. It starts to give you choices and options. So if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow our videos for any upcoming videos that are coming up. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for all your likes and all your shares and comments. I really appreciate them. Please take care of yourself and remember, never lose sight of yourself. I'll see you next time.